Friends of our channel and YouTubers, welcome. Answers of an alien from Andromeda, 50th video, June 29, 2011. Question: Carlo asks, Mythy, what the ramifications will be if the dwarf star is diverted, like you said might happen in the last video? Will events still occur this fall, such as the financial structure of our society coming to a halt? Our satellites become inoperative? Will we still see two suns? Carlo, in the case of a deviation in the route of the dwarf star, you will not see two suns, and it will not approach the Earth. As your government's agenda has been triggered, even if the deviation occurs, the planned events will continue in action, based on increased solar activity, reversal of the poles, etc. Everything is an excuse to artificially create disasters, and certainly off your satellite network, to isolate the remaining inhabitants in their respective areas, without information of what is happening elsewhere on the planet. Question: Tate asks, Mythy, do you know anything about Missouri River flooding? As to why are elites doing this, if they are doing this? Tate, there are major faults in North America. Your government knows it's only a matter of time before events happen, so everything indicates that they are planning an action that will trigger the final page of the agenda for the beginning of population reduction. Do not ask us why we do not interfere. We cannot interfere in your society yet. You have to prove to the universe that is viable, not vice versa. Anyway, answering your question, CB showed me a map required for this region, made by you, and is very close to what will actually happen in this region, in an imminent event, caused by retention of water in the north, to be released deliberately, causing the sliding part of the territory to the ocean. The base Arcturian of Bermudas is in readiness in this regard, because the Caribbean tectonic plate activity can start from this imbalance in the Gulf of Mexico. Question: Irving asks, I was wondering, considering on Nibiru, if there is any info you could give me on base locations to survival, or maybe a map layout of the areas with the most grounds and which are less on the tectonic spots like Japan. I'm also considering trying to get 50k to buy 2 spots in a Vivos shelter. Irving, I think this has already been partially answered. Being outside of coastal areas, and the area that will slide into the sea, you are able to protect themselves. If it is in a shelter or not, be sure that this will not guarantee anything. If it makes you feel better, or more secure, and you have access to it, do as you wish. These large shelters may have sealed their entries for any sliding or twisting structure, may represent risky choices. An underground subway, or even the sewers, with many exits would be options that I would use if necessary. A sealed place for nothing or nobody be able to enter, can become a tomb well closed, where no one can get out. Question: Paul asks, what size of a pole shift do you expect? The Zetas claim 90 degrees with the new poles off India and Brazil. Do you agree? Paul, these people Zetas must have information virtually impossible to achieve. You see, you cannot assume an inversion of geophysical poles from the current tectonic setting. There is no basis for this calculation, because the weight resulting from the interaction of the plates and his new position will determine how the planet will heal, and in which quadrant and angle after the interaction of gravitational forces. If we take into account the tendency of these interactions, regardless of any change in lunar orbit, the geographic pole may be located on the shaft, Australia and Northern Europe. See, This is not a statement. On the contrary, I would be frivolous to assert something that does not hold all the data to compile the answer. Question. Paul asks, also, they say some will not have humanoid bodies. They refer to an octopus body, on a water planet. Do you agree? The Zetas also say they will inhabit Earth with bodies, genetically engineered, being a cross of human and Zeta's DNA. Do you agree? Paul, I do not know who they are, but, the more you talk, the more I doubt their existence. Humanoids are always humanoid. Genetic manipulation has ceased for this colony for a long time. The society which shall become effective on the planet, in this new era of interaction intergalactic, will be you, with a level of brain activation consistent with the new frequency of the planet. Anything said otherwise, is story to frighten children. Question. Dinand asks, in your last video the current position of the brown dwarf was shown. The Sun, Earth, and brown dwarf were in a triangle towards each other, so the conditions to see the brown dwarf were met? Sunlight reflects on brown dwarf back to Earth. Dinand, will only be possible to see the dwarf star, when it is the same distance from the Sun. The dwarf star absorbs light. The energy field created in front of his sense of movement distorts the light, and you cannot spotting with the parameters of normal vision. If the route is held, in early September, you will begin to notice their approach. Question. You also mentioned that the elite were making plans to go to Mars, and life there together with reptilians. Isn't that a recipe for trouble in the future? See Dinand, the third dimension in the universe, the things are far from being perfect. Anyway, 2 planets will be populated by humanoids, in your solar system. You do not have to worry, because the reptilians do not want confusion with the galactic community. At some point, these elites will no longer be elites, be sure, and the Earth, by your great potential, will always be the main sponsor of the system. The same technological progress that the reptilians have with your elite, you will also have here, so, there is nothing to fear. Question. Tate asks, Mithy, in theory all of this, and us, started with a Big Bang, and this Big Bang wave went on a journey throughout the universe. Did it stop at some point? Or is it still moving? And are there any races left in the universe in third dimension who were first to evolve after the Big Bang? Tate, there are approximately 14 billion years, came the cosmic event that spawned this universe of third dimension. We were not the only ones, and we were not the first. Our universe, it expands rapidly in the first billion years, and is now slowly losing speed. Taking into account the clusters of galaxies, one day it will stop expanding and the galaxies will be more clustered, which in practice means a universe of smaller proportions. Since the first 500 million years, the planets that cooled more rapidly began to develop life, and the first intelligent beings were introduced after the first billion years. Many breeds were developed so long ago, and are no longer in the third dimension. It is impossible to know with certainty what was the first race. Possibly these data be available in the annals of the history of the fourth dimension. Question. Boris asks, do you know for sure that there is a creator of dimensions and space, or life could have been developed from Big Bang, without intent of some intelligent being? Boris, there is no possibility that something appears out of nowhere, alone. The energy quantum which determined the expansion and the consequent creation of our universe, was deliberately caused by the civilizations of pure energy. They sow universes as one who sows the fruit trees that give them the support of light. The more we are enlightened, we become more part of them, until one day be among them as equals. Question. Vogler asks, Mithy, I would like to know if you are aware of Alex Collier, and what does you think of Alex's claim that Andromedans have time travel, when he clearly stated that time travel does not exist? Feel Alex is truthful as well as you, but can you maybe give your opinion on claims by Alex? Vogler, time travel, as I explained earlier, does not exist. Possibly, those who cannot understand it, or dream about that possibility, should not like to hear that reality. But I will not make up stories, just to please some. The unique trips, on time, is the instantaneous transfer of extremely distant places, over time and space. The folds of time shorten distances, are remote gateways, mirroring two physical realities, far from each other. The future does not exist, and the past is gone. It's that simple. You can see future programming techniques, for generating an entire city in the future, in holography. This is very interesting because it can be programmed a perfect forecast of trends and resources for that particular study. You can project 20 years, holographically you and your family, children, etc. Or 100 years an entire society, in 4D, with higher quality than one of your movies, because you can even touch, all natural. But it's all cybernetics, pure technological science. Question. Paul asks, CB, why you have a Russian accent? Aren't you supposed to be Andromedan? Paul, I'll answer for him. The translator more complete that exists in the brain, is that of your native language. When we communicate, I use the translator of his brain and I speak Portuguese. It may be that, for someone with native English, listen to the accent, like some other foreign language. But anyway, Portuguese and Russian has absolutely nothing in common. Question. Rollis asks, the 10% of people that remain, are they going to have the same lust for power and greed? No, Rollis, your leaders will be filtered by you over time, your leaders will be social engineers, and the main goal should always be improving the quality of life, as a whole. In the highest frequency of the planet, the ideals of the leaders, will also be more altruistic and less personal. Question. Pam asks, if reptilians and new reincarnations humans on Earth have different frequencies, no reptilians permitted here. No corrupt elites here, even if Mars is closed, no interaction can occur due to different frequencies, right? Wrong, Pam. The difference in frequency defines the level of brain development and spiritual beings born on Earth. This does not prevent any being that is not in frequency will continue to live here or working on the planet. If he dies, will not be born over here again. Of course, in this new stage of development, you will analyze the immigrants who may want to live here, and set rules and limits, according to your social laws. You will be a sovereign race, with the right to deny entry or migration on the planet, who you want to. Thanks for watching, join our channel. You are welcome there.